You're listening to the Vast Mistake Podcast, the one gaming podcast for all your news and general topics. I'm Richard here today with my co-host, the walking soundboard, Ethan, and the myth, Trusty himself. Why don't you two introduce yourselves real quick?
There's your soundboard. Anyway, hello, I'm Foxbox. Also going to be known as Ethan throughout most of these things because we don't use our names normally anymore. We used to, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We used to use our YouTube names a lot. Then,
Yeah. And then I believe it was Ty. He just stopped using the names.
yeah. Well, because what would we have called Ty? Is it Mindtech?
I called him Meathead because
What-
MTHD, but that never stuck. So we're just stuck with just calling us by our names, except for Trusty.
Yeah. Trusty, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience here for me real quick?
I'm Trusty, and I'm a guy that takes things way too far, and is also known as the beaniest bean. You'll hear Trusty every now and then, or you'll hear Ethan beating me in the background. One of the
Yeah, whatever happens, really. So we're here to talk about a couple of things today for our first inaugural podcast of the Vast Mistake. We're gonna start off with some gaming news, and we're gonna talk about the elephant in the news. So recently, just realized my gain's up. It was actually today. Nintendo announced the new Switch model. Have you guys seen anything about that?
The
I have
OLED
not.
model?
What do you think?
Isn't it called the OLED model or OLED?
Yes, it is. So the new Switch model is the OLD model. There's nothing. The main thing that was updated was the OLED display. It's a bit bigger, and so reducing the screen bezel. Kickstand, native LAN support in the docking station, and
Ooh.
I believe improved speakers, and the preliminary model is an all-white 8 station where like the Joy-Cons of the dock, it's all white. Other than that, none of the other quote-unquote reports that it would have had a new CPU, new RAM, none of that came out.
Go ahead.
It's basically just the base model with a better screen, all things considered.
So there's no information on what the internals are anymore.
No, we know.
Are going to be.
No, we know
Or is
what.
it just what the other ones are?
No, we know what the internals are. The only updated internal is the screen.
Oh, I see. So it's just bigger screen.
Yeah, reduced bezel. It's the same. It's still a 7-inch screen. It's just the bezel's a lot smaller than what it is on the base model.
What is it? Oh, you mean the
The black bars surrounding the actual display.
yeah.
That's what a bezel is.
Yeah, I did not know what the true term for that was, so now I know.
What do you, Trusty? You seemed interested. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think what do you?
I'm actually reading through the specs of it right now versus the other one. I'm fancy like this.
Yeah. What about you, Ethan? What do you? From what I've said so far, what do you think of it?
Well, I also saw the actual. Well, one thing I saw is that the packaging coming with it has a Mario type edition.
Yeah.
Where the little, because I'm actually holding it right now, the controller shaped SwitchCon holder. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is like green and it has the both SwitchCons as red to have a little Mario theme. I like that.
Ooh.
Though it looks like the other one is just white and black.
Yeah. No, that's the model they're going with for like the marketing and stuff.
And I did
So-
notice when I watched the video beforehand that the actual back plate, like my Switch right here, it's little kickstand that also has the SD card holder. It's just this one bar. And the way I saw it on the video, it's going to be a lot bigger.
Yeah. No, it covers the entire back. That
Yeah.
kickstand. Now, what were you gonna say, Trusty?
The OLED model actually happens to have double the storage internal wise.
Oh.
Because that's kind of fancy.
Well,
It has
there's also
64
multiple types.
gigabytes instead of the 32 gigabytes of built-in storage, and then users can easily expand storage space using micro SDHC or micro SDXC cards up to 2 terabytes sold separately.
Yeah, although internal storage on any consoles nowadays don't last long. You
No,
inevitably you're going to upgrade it.
inevitably. It's also heavier
Which is to be
than
expected
anyone is. Yeah.
with all they're adding, like the speakers, the screen, especially with
They're
it
both
being.
only 720p though, so that's depressing.
I mean, how much pixels could you fit in a 7-inch screen? You have to think.
I don't know. I mean, you can think there's like 4K phones.
Yeah, there's 4K phones, but those phones are also like thousands of dollars. The new OLED's only retailing for $350. So you have to think at that price point, 720p is probably the best they could do.
Honestly, see if there's anything fancier in.
I'm just disappointed that they didn't at least do a RAM at least tune up, because one of the main problems I have with my Switch with games like I forget the game actually, but sometimes there's like I have slowdowns sometimes when in longer sessions. There's slowdowns in certain scenes where like there's a lot of particle effects or a lot of other such effects. So I thought they would at least do a little bit of a tune-up in the terms of performance, but this
Yeah,
this is just like a refresh, kind of like with the Xbox One to the Xbox One S, where the S really wasn't an upgrade. It was just like a refresh for it to do streaming 4K.
yeah. I also learned, however, today that Nintendo needs to hire a new website. But
Is there?
did I cut out a lot? I don't know if I did.
At the exact end, so we got most of it.
Yeah,
Okay. Watch the
Yeah.
screen. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
that's probably not a good thing to say on a podcast.
Probably not. That's okay though. Watching Nintendo's long history is probably not a good thing to say.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to it. You have to. I'm just not even gonna try. That's something we have to watch ourselves on a little bit.
Yeah,
A little bit.
I mean, this is gonna probably go
Watch
on.
the screen.
This is probably gonna go on YouTube, so I could probably put up pictures. But
Possibly.
Watch
The only,
the
the only thing
screen.
that's like live streamed is my view of Terraria on Twitch. So
yeah, we're
Who's
watching.
Richard?
Yeah, we're watching.
Okay, so if you're watching right here in the screen section, that's what that's supposed to look like, but they put an extra space. Put an extra space. This is bothering me.
Yeah, that much.
oh, I see it.
Yeah, it's like an indentation.
And they also didn't put the approximately over here. I swear to God, I want to buy one, and if it's not exactly 4 inches, man, I'm gonna sue them.
Exactly 4 inches high and 9.5 long.
Exactly. And 0.55 inches deep.
I don't know what that means, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what
That's
you're,
what it's.
I don't know
it's
what you're
talking half an
complaining
inch.
about. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what your biggest concern about that website is.
They're
Oh,
talking
like,
about
I
the-
can't
space.
Oh, there's
They
like
put an
bad
extra
space.
space
Oh,
instead of.
and they didn't
yeah.
put, and they didn't put approximately for the new model for when they're measuring.
oh, I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think I would have noticed it.
No, I
I have
definitely
very
I would
bad attention to.
You do pay a lot more attention to details.
No, I wouldn't have noticed the approximately. That would have been just like a passing detail, but the indentation, if I had the comparison, I'd see that.
Yeah, they dare.
Yeah, a lot of people on, surprisingly, Twitter are disappointed by this announcement because a lot of them got hyped up by quote unquote industry insiders about the quote unquote Switch Pro that was they were told was going to be announced soon.
I remember the Switch Pro, but I never actually got any information on it.
No, there
So I just assumed it was just some fake news thing.
no, there was never any news. People just made up shit.
So I technically was in the right of the
Yeah.
situation.
Also,
Yes.
although Nintendo's been doing some kind of like has been doing some making history lately, Nintendo's never been known for making a pro version of any of their consoles. At most, they've done like refreshes, or like slight upgrades with the jumper pack for the N64 way back in the day.
Yeah.
I fixed their website for them. It's no longer there. But no, look
They
at
do
these.
ha-
These
they
guys.
did they did have the like a 3DS XL.
Yeah, but that was
Just it made it bigger, made it a bit different, but
but
it
then
doesn't change much.
but then there was the refresh for the new 3DS, which made the 3D a bit better and the console just a bit more powerful. But that wasn't
Yes.
Was the 3D even good on the 3DS?
it was okay on the original model, but on the new 3DS, it was pretty good. I heard.
Ah,
Yeah,
I didn't like the 2DS have the 3D thing, or was that just something?
the 2DS originally, the 2DS just played 3DS games. It just didn't have the 3D effect.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you're the only one among us, God, fucking
God!
that had a 2DS that I'm aware of.
No, I still have it. I just don't. It's on my
I
shelf.
guess, yeah, it doesn't really change it.
No.
I know Ty
Yes, it
didn't
did.
have one. He had a PSP for a really long time, which, to be honest with you, I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the PSP was a good console. It's just it was so fucking awful for games, dude.
Yeah,
Like
I think the only thing I liked playing was the Black Ops version they had on there,
yeah.
where it gave a little extra, like it's story that you could only see on the PSP, because the version had like a mission that is in no other version of Black Ops, where you kill Madrazo's like cousin or something.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the main problem for me with the PSP. Like it, or in the PlayStation what the fuck was the
Vita.
other Vita? Yeah, is that the hardware was great. It was like ahead of its time for handhelds, but it was so fucking bad for games. Like there's only like 2 games I can think of that I had when I played it, and I can't even remember them because they were average at best. I think it was like the Uncharted game and one other one.
Remember when Uncharted was like sponsored by Subway and they like shoved it in your face in their commercials and stuff?
Yeah.
Like Nathan Drake would be holding a Subway cup. It's just like, all right, you can be subtle about it.
Yeah.
In those commercials, he's just holding it, shoving it into the camera.
Yeah. All right. So the next news topic we're gonna cover, and probably the last one before we get into more generalized topics. Recently, and this is the news as it was initially broke earlier this week. It was announced that Play One, an advertising company, signed a deal with High Res Studios, the studio behind games like Smite, Paladins, and EA to bring TV-like advertisements to video games. It was appeared to be done to emulate the mobile growth of free to play games in that market. However, it was revealed, I believe, yesterday at the time of recording that EA didn't actually sign the deal, and it was only High Res.
I was gonna say if EA did, I'd be like, that's not surprising.
Yeah. But yeah, so currently right now, High Res signed the deal with Play One to bring the TV like advertisements to get video games. Or free to play video games. At this current moment, it's not going to be brought to, or seemingly brought to normal paid games.
Triple A's or double A's.
Yeah, at this current moment. Although technically, if we're, I'm being honest,
So there was the TV advertisements in the 2K20 basketball game.
No, they're still there. Yeah, 2K20
I-
and 2K21.
Yeah,
So
I didn't know which year it was. If it was 19 or later.
no, yeah, I was gonna say technically they're already here.
Yeah, but at the same time, that was an extreme backlash.
Yeah, there was extreme backlash, and I understand the whole advertisement things, but like at the same time, even when this news story broke that it was initially EA and High Res, they still said it was only gonna be free to play games, and at that point, TV like ads or like mobile like ads in a free to play game on PC or Xbox or something like that. If I'm being completely honest, I don't completely have a huge problem with that. Because it's a free to play game, right?
Yeah,
How other than like the microtransactions and stuff like that, how else are they gonna make the money off that game?
Yeah, there's much other ways. It's just that hopefully they don't make it something overbearing.
Yeah, well, because they said the ads would be something like when Street Fighter did their whole ad campaign, where you could turn on the ads and then you get in-game perks. So I'm thinking that's probably what still gonna happen in these free-to-play games. What do you think of this situation, Trusty?
What was the situation? Sorry, I had to go upstairs for a second because a mother asked a question because I threw a popper in the
All right. The situation is that initially Play A1 signed a deal with Hi-Rez Studios, the guys behind Smite Paladins, and EA to bring TV-like advertisements to free-to-play video games. However, it was revealed that it's only going to be Hi-Rez doing this. So, what do you think of this? TV-like advertisements and free-to-play video games.
It sounds very, very annoying, if I do say so. I mean, like, I wouldn't want to be playing their video game and then, oh, yeah, okay, I gotta wait, like, 10 minutes because I've got a slew of ads that I gotta watch.
Right.
I'm back.
Kind of be in the living room on the TV already, but now it's on my device while I'm playing a game.
Right, but well, part of the thing they said was these ads would be kind of like the Street Fighter V ad campaign, where you opt into them for in-game perks. But one of the things that me and Ethan talked about too is, with these being free to play games, other than the admittedly lucrative market of the microtransactions in these games, they got to figure out, they got to get a market. A profit somehow off these free to play games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're not just going to make a game and then not want to get anything off of that, because that was hours of the people that you paid to help make the game, hours of just thinking and development of the games. So, like, obviously you kind of want something off of the games. I don't know, like, they could just be doing normal ads
Yeah.
instead of, like,
Had some technical
TV-like
difficulties.
ads, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel.
Yeah, I think the way it would work, right? And this is my best guess based on ads like that happening in games like NBA 2K and Street Fighter, is that you'd see these ads in between matches as they load, or as like small little pop-ups as you like go between certain menus, like they appear once or twice or something like that. So while they would be intrusive in some aspects, I don't think they would be all too bad, all things considered. Because we've all played mobile games, right?
Yeah.
The mobile free-to-play ads, they are the fucking worst. It's like, I play this one game, right? Called BitLife, right?
Yeah.
Every other action I do in that game, it pops up a video ad that's unskippable, and it lasts like 10 seconds. So that
I hate that.
yeah,
Gross.
that is the actual definition of intrusive ads, and I don't think that can at least be fully replicated in the actual markets of PC games and console games. Because
Yeah.
that wouldn't exactly work. I mean, if they did that, people would be furious. It's not exactly something that you just throw into a game and expect people not to be angry.
yeah, but to be fair again, gamers are such a fickle bunch with what they're outraged at. You know what I'm?
That's fair. They're
Because
like a bunch of Karens that can get the proper copy.
I saw recently another news story, and we're not going to fully go into this. Hideo Kojima announced that he is making another game that's going to be exclusive to the Xbox platform, right?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that, but all right.
Neither did I, but
And then a bunch of PlayStation players made a petition to try and get this game canceled for no discernible reason other than that the game was going to be exclusive to Xbox and PC.
People tend to be petty about stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah, I just think I, a lot of the majority of gamers and the gaming community as a whole, I think there's a subsection who,
Gamer sphere.
yeah,
Yeah.
they just get outraged over like minute things or things that like they're not real problems, and they get outraged at the wrong things. Like I when Apex added, I think it was Apex or Valorant, when they added the pride flags.
Apex added
Valorant,
Valorant
did
too.
that too.
Okay.
So
When
they both did it, but I don't know which one had any kind of backlash.
No, that I know I see backlash like that all the time, but there was backlash about all that came out. But at the same time, some studio, I can't remember the exact studio, if it was CD Projekt Red or something like that, more news about the terrible crunch in the studio for a game that was coming out or already came out, and I heard virtually nothing about how horrible it was from any gamers except like all established journalists like the Jimquisition or Angry Joe or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like you people are getting mad about the wrong what you think is a problem in video games rather than getting mad at problems that are actually a problem in the industry.
Oh.
Like diversity is a thing. Diversity is a thing we need in gaming, but crunch culture is not something we should have, or to the level that it's already at in the video game industry.
I agree.
But anyways, let's move on to our more set general topics still relating to gaming. I yesterday I wrote all these up. You know, there's not a whole lot, but hopefully this can, with the thought-provoking well, they're not really thought-provoking, but hopefully this can bring us even closer together as a community.
Hopefully, we don't just start murdering each other again.
Yeah. So
Well, I did hear about news the other day that intrigued me in the gaming section.
well, sure. We're an open.
After quite a bit of time, and this news came out like a month ago. It's not that new, but it's relatively new and exciting for some people that like the franchise. Slime Rancher 2 is coming out.
Wasn't that announced at
That's-
E3?
I don't know. I didn't watch E3 this year, but it is exciting to a lot of people, including myself, because Slime Rancher was a game I'd like to come home from school as and just get on and, peacefully at like 2 o'clock in the morning when I should be sleeping because I have school in 4 hours, play and, just kind of relax.
No, I love Slime Rancher 1, so I'm kind of excited.
Yeah,
I want to buy it.
I did not play Slime Rancher 1 very much, if at all.
You
I
need
know.
to play Slime Rancher 1.
I know Richard had made me play it. He basically forced me to play it.
That's what happens with any of the games.
Yeah, but at when you made me play it, it was in the middle of my first 1,000 hours of Counter Strike.
Yeah.
So I was a bit into Counter Strike situations. So everything I did was more action based. It didn't sit with me at the time. But that's just because of my mental state at the time. I was just playing so much Counter Strike.
So you had to get those you had to crank 90. You had to get those Victory Royales.
Slime Rancher 1 is on sale on Steam for 70% off.
Yeah.
2 days.
It was also free on Epic, which is how I got it officially. I
Yeah,
played.
that's how I got it too.
Yeah. I think I actually also have it. It's on Game Pass for PC. Hold on. Yeah, it is. It's also on Game Pass for PC. Which I have to say, Xbox's Game Pass is the best fucking subscription service for gaming of all time. Like, I do not know how they can afford to do something like this with what they put on here. Like because they put their brand new titles, like their upcoming Forza 5, Psychonauts and stuff like that. But then they also have a bunch of EA stuff on here, like Hot Pursuit, Jedi Fallen Order, Battlefield 5. It's like Jesus Christ. And there's a ton of indie games too on here, like Going Under, Limbo, Bug Fables. Like, if you're listening at home and you haven't at least seen what Game Pass has to offer, go do that like right now, because like I know I'm sounding like a shill, but I genuinely love this service. Have either of you used Game Pass before?
I have, but
Mhm.
on the Xbox.
Never.
And
I know my dad.
even on the Xbox, it was a
good
very
use.
good thing to have.
Yeah.
Oh, yo, wait, shit.
And on the
Oh,
Xbox,
my
if
God.
you can do that and get
Oh
Game
my-
Pass Ultimate, it's a very good deal.
No, Ultimate is like the pinnacle. It's like $15. You can get both PC and Xbox, and then you also get gold.
All right. So, Trusty, why were you having a stroke?
Yeah, what was that about?
Because I opened the Microsoft store and started scrolling down, and all I was seeing was a bunch of included with Game Pass, included with Game Pass, included with Game
Oh
Pass.
yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, everything's on Game Pass now.
Well, it's because I think
And now the Microsoft store has froze. What the fuck?
I think part of the reason why Microsoft is doing this is because with the whole advent of streaming services and stuff, it's a lot more profitable for a company to get you on a subscription service rather than you doing a one-time payment.
Yeah, that's
That's
usually how it
true.
is. Because if you can keep them on the subscription service, they're gonna pay more than
Over-
they would for multiple games.
Yeah. No, I have to say I've put way more than $60 into Game Pass. I've had it for like a year now, and I pay $15 a month. So they've squeezed me.
Join for $1.
Oh yeah, that's the other deal that they have.
That's the first month, $1.
They did
And
they
then it
did
goes to $10.
they I know through one deal or something. Sometimes they have a deal where you pay $5 and you get like 3 or 5 months, and then it goes up to the normal price.
Yeah, that depends on when you get that deal.
Yeah.
Because I got one for 5 months. I believe five or six. But yeah, it
Yeah.
really depends on when you get the deal and what deal they give you. 'Cause sometimes it's different between persons.
No, it really depends on like the month, because they do it like they do it fairly often, but I haven't seen it a whole lot lately. The whole $5 for 5 months or some shit.
Yeah, I haven't seen that often, but granted, I also ignore it.
Anyways, so I'm gonna ask some questions, and we're all gonna try and answer them to the best of our abilities. All right.
All right.
And we're gonna try and make a discussion out of it. So we're gonna start off with a light question. What's a really popular game, everybody loves but you don't like? Ethan, I'll let you have the floor first.
Game that everybody
can't-
seems to love, but I don't like.
Yeah, and I'm gonna amend this. You cannot say uber popular games like Fortnite and Among Us. Like it has to be a popular game, but it can't be uber popular.
So it has to be kind of like,
So something you
Say,
don't
like-
like, but you don't hate.
say, like Dark Souls or something.
yeah, something like that.
Not really sure
I see.
about that myself. I haven't had a lot of games on my roster that I've been able to
Well, the-
see a lot.
But is there not a game like you played once because like someone like me or Ty recommended it, but you couldn't get into it?
That is a good question. Ty has made me play a lot of games. I think one of the games that I don't enjoy too much because Ty, I don't know if it's considered popular anymore, but me and him play Warzone a lot.
Right.
And even though I continue to play it, I don't like playing it. I just play it because, well, Ty and it's something me and Ty can do.
Right.
And you've seen me and him get angry at
No,
those games.
You guys get really angry.
Yeah. So you can see why I don't actually enjoy playing it. It's just I play it because it's something that I can do with my best friend. So,
Right. You just play it out of like obligation.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's not something I actually enjoy playing. And it kind of extends over to Black. Well, I think the only thing I play and enjoy in Black Ops is zombies to an extent. Because it's not. If I want to play zombies, I'll go play Black Ops 2.
yeah.
Not Cold War, because Cold War has these weird gimmicks going on with it now. They're
Yeah,
enjoyable gimmicks, but it's just something that I would rather go back to my original game that I like because I had Black Ops 2 forever.
Yeah.
And
No,
it
we
wasn't
are.
until I didn't play had my Black Ops, not my Black Ops, my Xbox anymore because I gave it to one of my cousins because he had nothing.
Right. But yeah,
yeah.
Black Ops 2 was my first, like one of my first Call of Duties. It was actually the first one I think I reached Prestige 1 or 2 in.
Yeah, and you don't play any kind of Call of Duty, so
No, I cannot keep up with these kids anymore, man.
yeah. So
Like
it was a surprise that you even got that. How about you, Trusty? Any game
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah, I'll
it's not
pose
exact doesn't have to be super popular, but anything that you don't enjoy?
yeah, pose a question on you.
That I don't enjoy.
Yeah, a game that like it was either like recommended to you or it's like popular enough where you're like, "Oh, I'll check it out," but you didn't like it.
Well, a couple years ago it was quite popular, but then it kind of became forgotten. I actually wasn't the very big fan of Ark, but it seemed like every goddamn person around me was like, Ark survival after school, I'm gonna go tame these dinosaurs, guys, I'm flying on a pterodactyl. Oh, I got dead because someone was screaming across me from a lake and it happened to be a piranha. Um, I couldn't really get into the game. Like, I was like, yeah, this is kind of fun. I'm picking up rocks and there's dinosaurs, but like, cool.
Isn't Ark
I didn't.
isn't Ark just like Rust but with dinosaurs?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's basically Rust with dinosaurs. Even though in Rust now you can build cars and crap. So
Yeah, I saw that through the RP that some of the Twitch streamers are doing.
yeah, just there was I remember watching a stream and he was just walking around and this truck comes rolling up with two Russian men just blaring hard bass while running people over and I was
No.
like this is exactly what I expect.
No, I saw a TikTok. These guys were riding a boat. One had a boombox, and it was just playing Miley Cyrus's "Party in the USA."
Yeah, that stuff like that is just like
Yeah.
they get it.
No, if only I'd love to play Rust someday, but holy fuck.
Yeah, I tried playing it, but it's so hard to get out of the early stages.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But once you do, it starts to become enjoyable. Other than that, it's just hard. It's just
Yeah, it's like playing fucking like an old RPG. It gets good after like the first 5 hours. Like after the first 5 hours of you trying to fucking get shit, you can actually start, having fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess for a game for me, I'm gonna stray away from like games like Valorant and COD. Kingdom Hearts. I've tried. I even have a
You have entire videos on the fact that you don't like Kingdom
no.
Hearts.
I tried
You
doing.
try to play through.
Yeah, I tried to play through. I will tell you.
Hated it apparently.
I do not like the gameplay about. I do not like anything about Kingdom Hearts. The story, the characters who are just like self-inserts. If I'm being honest, like Sora, the Xehanort people or whatever the fuck. But the gameplay is just so confusing and frustrating. Like, I was stuck on that first boss in Twilight Town, right? I was stuck on it for like two hours before I finally beat him, and that was because they didn't explain any of the mechanics required to beat him. And I was like, what the fuck, man?
What does one do when they have no options?
Yeah, no, here's the thing, is that the boss starts, it's a giant, like, conglomerate of, like, armor pieces, right? And you fight it like that, but then after its second phase is you fight the individual armor pieces, but each one has its own health pool, and each one's stronger than the other, and it's like, I don't understand. Who thought this was a good game series? And what's even more frustrating about Kingdom Hearts is that you can't, to even understand the story, right? You can't just play 1, 2, and 3. You have to play 8 other side games.
That's true, yeah.
And it's like,
Well, that happened.
like how the if I want to play what, Ethan?
My Terraria just hard crashed.
Oh.
Like just straight out hard crashed into desktop.
Goddamn.
Beautiful.
I was in my map, it was going fine, and it just hard crashed. Go on.
If I'm trying to get into a game story or a movie story or whatever, I expect to be able to understand most of the main plot by playing the games in sequential order, by being able to play 1, 2, and 3. But if I have to play these fucking side games, or God forbid, read the fucking books, because I think Kingdom Hearts has books.
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
I can't remember exactly, so I might be making it up. Oh,
Sheer blindness of anger.
yeah. If I have to play fucking side games or read your side books to understand the story more fluently, I am not gonna give a fuck about your story anymore. Like, Jesus Christ, that it just when you have that many side games and stuff, it's just potential for you to retcon or just make up random shit to try and make your story actually work when you know for a fact it doesn't. Like, there's a plot point, and I've read the entire. I know what I'm kind of know what I'm talking about because I've looked up Kingdom Hearts plot. There's a side game, right, where you play as a Data Sora to like clean up memories or whatever. And that explains how at the end of the second game, Sora gets a letter from Mickey. And it's like, why did that need to be a thing?
Yeah, it seems extremely confusing.
It's
Granted, I've never touched a Kingdom Hearts game, so I wouldn't know a goddamn thing.
It's like I'm being completely honest. You could cut 90% of Kingdom Hearts down to like 3 or 4 games, and it would be the exact same story.
Isn't
100%.
Kingdom Hearts like synonymous for being extremely long?
It's extreme. No, not long. Convoluted.
Oh. Well, I mean, there are also a bunch of other games that are extremely long, but people still enjoy them.
Yeah, like fucking Metal Gear.
I have never finished Metal Gear 5.
Dude, Metal Gear Solid 4 is the fucking worst. There are legitimately cutscenes in that game that last an hour, and I'm not making that up.
Legitimate, fucking, actual, theatrical
Yeah.
length cutscenes.
Like, you know the whole
You could just take it out of the game and it would be a story.
yeah, you know the whole joke, like if you're playing like a story-based game, you're in one mission, it plays a cutscene, but if you skip the cutscene, you're in like an explosion in like railway level. That literally happens in Metal Gear. I remember because I played it through with my cousin. I made it to this tower, right? And I was like, I don't want to watch this fucking cutscene because I know it's going to be an hour. I skipped it, and then I'm in a fucking helicopter shooting jeeps on the street. Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck happened?
You'll never know.
The exact opposite of that problem is Half-Life games,
Yeah.
because everything you do is involved in the story. The only cutscenes are basically points where you're tied up and can't do anything for a canonical reason.
Right. But I think part of that, a lot of the reasons why Half-Life games are done as games is to solve like game problems or game engine problems. Like I don't remember Half-Life 1's whole thing, but Half-Life 2, that was so they could figure out physics engines and stuff like that. And then Alex was to get an actual proper like AAA VR game to actually prove that VR can be its own ecosystem. So when you're trying to do games like that, story is there, but it's more of like a back front to what the primary focus of what you're trying to do, and that's like physics and engine development and then VR development.
Yeah.
God damn it. What do you?
I haven't. I think the only Half-Life game I've ever beaten all the way through is technically 1, but it's Black Mesa.
Oh. No, I've played I know I've never touched 1. I've played through 2 and Alex.
Yeah. How'd you like Alex? I haven't been able to play Alex, but could you say for the generic gameplay, not doing too many spoilers because people might not have played it.
Yeah.
Because people can't afford VR.
Yeah, I do have to say, Alex. While there's some moments in Alex that like, there's certain levels. I'm not gonna say which ones they are, where like I thought they could have cut them out because they're really boring and not really fun. I have to say overall, Alex is pretty good. Like I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
The only thing I find disappointing is due to and I read a developer thing, due to limitations with how they did combat, there is 0 melee. Like you can't pick up like a chair and hit an enemy with it or any. No, there's 0 melee whatsoever.
Well, I mean, you could. It just doesn't do anything.
I mean, yeah, you can, but like when you're being attacked by a zombie, just giving him a wet slap isn't gonna push him back.
Yeah, it would be hilarious just to pick up a chair and shatter it over a combine's head,
Yeah.
and they just crumple to the ground.
Like they even do the Gmod fall where they just
Or they pop up a little bit.
yeah. Oh god. Trusty, have you gotten to play VR at all?
No.
You haven't even been to like an arcade where they had it as like a ticket thing?
Nope.
Oh.
That's interesting. Expected you to at least try it once,
Yeah.
but I guess you probably haven't had the opportunity yet.
No.
Nope.
I mean, it's probably a good time to try and at least see if you can get into it now that the Quest 2 is literally the only option now for
It's
mid.
never been
Or-
for mid
Yeah.
cheap tier.
Yeah, because Oculus literally yesterday cut the cord on the Rift S. Like you cannot officially buy the Rift S anymore.
First party.
Yeah, that's what officially means, Ethan.
And it'd probably be my best bet right now. I wanted something like a Valve Index, just entirely just because I wanted to flip someone off in VR.
Yeah.
But
No,
I don't really have a room to do that, so I would most likely
You don't-
have to go with a wireless.
You wouldn't need that much space, but you also need some space.
yeah.
Have you guys have seen my room, right?
No, not
No.
like fully. We've like seen the backgrounds, we've seen all that, but we haven't.
He's-
You
he's
haven't given us
activated
a tour.
fucking
Is
West
this how
Street.
much room I got?
Can't see it. I have my stream stuff up. Anyway, back
Wait.
to it.
Yeah, inside out
So much
tracking.
room.
Yeah.
So much room.
I mean, I had to get a Quest 2 because of where I live right now. Once I move down to Colorado, I can switch over easily.
Yeah. Oh, he took out the bunny. The bunny's freaking out.
Oh, where? Can't
He's
see
on
it.
on his video.
Oh, I
feed.
see it now.
Okay.
Freaking got fat again.
I like how you just throw it back in the cage because it's biting you or something.
You got the lizard.
Yeah, I see the lizard. Yeah, that much space right there is a decent amount of.
Yeah.
Good job. Is a decent amount of space as long as you put the trackers in the right spot.
Yeah.
But inside out tracking would be best for like.
No.
Remember my situation where my room was basically it was like 6x6
Yeah.
space that I had to work with.
No, I think inside out tracking is probably the future for VR as of right now. Good.
Oh,
For the best like experience, it would be for you'd have to have outside in tracking.
I think what we're going to what's going to happen with VR. I think we're going to be focusing on inside out tracking with the option of doing sensors.
Yeah.
Because I know Valve's reportedly working on a new headset, like a Valve Index 2, but nothing other than the name is known about it right now.
A Valve out Dex.
where'd it go? Oh no.
Would your lizard go crawling around on you?
Yeah, I don't know if it's on my back or not.
It's gone forever.
Probably.
It's just dead.
Yeah, I literally got no idea where it went.
Well, you'll find it in the air vents in 2 weeks.
Probably. Or
Um,
I'll smell it in their events.
so,
Well, there it is.
oh, I see it. Moving on to the next question, since we're on this visual bit, that's not going to work. What what do you think ended the supposed golden era of video games? I'm gonna start with Trusty on this one.
Oh, jeez. I'm gonna go with the fact that most of the video games nowadays are being centered mainly around graphics and money making, and there's not a whole lot of hardware out there that's able to run nowadays video games, say on full settings or sometimes even half settings, just because of how expensive the equipment and hardware is for normal everyday people to get their hands on.
Right? But that's
So it's a lot harder for people nowadays to actually enjoy a game because they're not able to run it the way they want to, or they don't have the money to buy the new games. They don't have the time to play the games because they're trying to work more hours to get the hardware to play the games. Does that make sense?
well. I think that's more of a. I kind of I see what you're saying, but I think that's more of a fault of the evolution of like people growing up and having to take on other responsibilities now. Because the people who
That's fair.
grew up with like the supposed golden era of video games, going from the N64 all the way up to the PS2 era, early Xbox 360 era, is that most of the people in the around those times, they were young kids, teenagers, and stuff like that, where they had more time on their hands, and they had these consoles that were honestly gifted to them, and they could spend a lot more time on these individual games that they couldn't buy new games, so they had to spend as much time as they could with the games that they had. Whereas now,
Yeah.
with the audiences nowadays, the main they're young adults and stuff like that. Um, we don't have a whole lot of time to play games for more than for longer than like 5 hours or something like that. We maybe have like 1 or 2 days we can do something like that.
If that, yeah.
So I think for me, what the problem or games have to prioritize simplistic gameplay loops in what they're doing, and that's why the most popular games right now are multiplayer games, because
Yeah.
they're simplified gameplay loops that you can crank out a match in like an hour or something like that.
Yeah. Half an hour, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And it's a lot easier for someone to just wind down after work and play something like Call of Duty Warzone and get enjoyment out of that than trying to remember where they left off in like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
What about you, Ethan? What do you think ended the golden era of video games?
The inability to actually tell a story without worrying about other aspects of the game breaking that story.
What do you mean by that?
So, similar to how Trusty had that thing of like they're more worried about graphics and stuff nowadays rather than telling an actual story. Around that time that started becoming more important, it kind of ruins a lot of games for me. When I want to be told a good story, but I also want to have fun while it's happening. Nowadays they prioritize one or the other.
Right.
Where a game it has a great story, but it's so like unplayable that you don't even want to listen to the story because of how unfun doing anything around the story is. Whereas
Yeah.
there's also games that have fun gameplay but have nothing worth of a story.
Well, I think that's a problem that's been plaguing games ever since we could actually do more in-depth stories. Because, for example, Kingdom Hearts.
How'd I know
Full
you were
circle.
gonna say it?
People would argue that the gameplay for Kingdom Hearts is good, but the story is bad. But circling around for that, some would say the gameplay for like a game like Final Fantasy, the gameplay is really fun for a turn-based RPG, but the story is just not there. So I think what you're saying has been a thing, or partly a thing that's happened to a lot of games throughout the history of ever since we can do more in-depth like gameplay and story.
Yeah.
things. I think it's just been more exemplified recently with the trend settings of what.
It's a hell of a lot more noticeable.
Yeah,
But a lot of the things that like how you say Kingdom Hearts, a lot of those things started around that time, and it just kept getting worse.
yeah,
So it was kind of just like they rolled they were rolling a ball down a hill, and they just didn't know there was a pile of children at the bottom. A lot of
Right.
these things can be avoided if they just work on the right ways to stop it and
But-
fix the story. But at the same time, they're worried more about gameplay and making money. Because at the end
Yeah.
of the day, a lot of this they just want to make profits. Because well, they're a company.
yeah. They're
Can't put that against them. But if they're gonna be malicious dicks about it, I'm not gonna, enjoy it, or proper words aren't coming to me. But you get the point.
Yeah, I see what you're spitting. But yeah, I think for me, I think for me, what ended the golden era of video games is the prioritization of online multiplayer. So when while it's nice that it's there nowadays, especially when COVID started, online multiplayer was necessary. It's just that in after the mid to late Xbox and PlayStation 3 era, we saw it started the whole trend of like every game has a online multiplayer functionality of some kind. We saw it with games like Arkham Origins, Last of Us. Last of Us had one. I think BioShock Infinite, but I think I'm wrong about that. Where games that they prioritize story in their previous series, they prioritize gameplay and story and stuff like that. Now with the trend of online multiplayer, the developers have to waste time and effort inputting these multiplayer sections. And nowadays, there's very few games that are marketed or made that are solely multiplayer. Games like Knockout City, and upcoming games like Forza Horizon and stuff like that, where there's little to no while there is single player options in some of these games, there's little to none of it. Like there's no option for just you and the CPU. It's all about playing online, whether or not you can or not, is what we're seeing now. And now it's I just think we're not seeing enough catering or enough content for someone like me, or someone like who can't play online, or someone like me who really does not like playing online multiplayer too often.
Yeah, I see the point there when it comes to people who don't enjoy online games or people who can't play online games. It doesn't really help that a lot of the games nowadays aren't catering to that at all.
Right. Like I can't after E3 I cannot tell you more than like maybe 2 games that are solely single player. The majority of them are just online multiplayer only or multiplayer only. And we're not I just don't think we're seeing enough of a single player aspect, whereas back in the day with early Xbox and even further like PlayStation 2 and Nintendo 64, where they could only do single player content. That was 99% of the game library for all those consoles.
Yeah.
I just think I just want to see more single player, but I understand part of the reason why single player games and stuff like that have gone downhill is the same reason why earlier in this show, it's a lot more profitable for these companies to have you, while buy the game one time, spend money on multiplayer functionality or even like cosmetics and stuff like that, rather than you buy one single player game and be done with it after like 5 hours.
Yeah. There's also a reason that they had to make games back in the past like hours long, because people wanted games that are worth their time and money.
Yeah.
So they had to make the games like straight up 50 hours long.
Yeah.
So it's
Or-
just,
Or even in the early days of NES and SNES, just emulating arcade difficulty when their game in reality was only like an hour long.
yeah. Or they just straight out like ported arcade games. And the arcade games are still ridiculously hard to play.
So I think we'll move on to the final segment of the show. We have been going on for about an hour now. We'll move on to the final question of the show, and yeah. So we're gonna keep it simple for the final question. What game, in your opinion, has the best soundtrack? I'll start with you this time, Ethan.
That is a good question because I don't have a proper answer.
Do you want?
Considering the soundtrack I like most when it comes to a game is a part of a mod pack
Yeah.
and is not part of a regular game.
Do you want me to pose a question to
I,
Trusty? So
I
you can
could
think about
actually
it?
start playing it right now, but I don't think I can. I have the music box in my inventory. It's the Calamity soundtrack for Terraria,
Yeah.
which Calamity is the biggest mod for Terraria. And it has like a bunch of orchestral rock and other types of music. Depending on each boss you fight, each boss has their own like theme song and there's music for the backgrounds.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that probably the most, considering every other soundtrack from like games and stuff haven't really made any difference to me. While Calamity's soundtrack has affected me when I play the game, and it makes it feel like this is a whole story I'm actually
Like
fighting through.
you're playing your own mini like D&D campaign.
Yeah,
Okay.
which this RPG mod and Calamity together makes it a lot more D&D like.
Okay. And what about you, Trusty? What game has the best soundtrack?
Now, mine's going to be very, very biased, and that's entirely just because of how young of an age I started playing the game series. Y'all probably going to hate me for this one,
Fortnite.
but I personally... No, what the fuck? Fuck.
Quick question
No,
before you go on.
Okay.
The quick question before you go on. The whole point is asking you what's your favorite soundtrack. I don't think it can be biased for the question.
Yeah.
No, I think it's biased.
It
Like it-
literally
like it-
can't be. We're
like it
asking you
skews
your
literally-
no,
favorite.
no. He's saying
It-
like it skews his taste. Like it
Yeah.
skews what he actually likes because it's one of the first games he's playing.
Yeah.
Rather than like to him, what's the best soundtrack?
I
Yeah.
don't enjoy you, Trusty. Go on.
So it would actually be the World of Warcraft soundtracks,
Okay.
because they're just really nice orchestral covers, and it makes you feel good on the inside.
Yeah. Like what kind of feelings does it invoke? Does it invoke tears?
It depends on the song, and I guess what would be happening with the song.
Does it get
Sometimes it invokes tears, but other times it invokes a feeling of like, I don't know, honor, if that makes sense.
like honor, like you're serving your
Wonder, adventure, that
like
yeah,
like
yeah,
you're
that
serving
type-
your I actually do not know the factions
Faction.
in World of Warcraft.
just say your faction.
Yeah.
yeah, just say your faction. But yeah,
Okay. Well then I got two answers for this question for me. So if I was asked this question about a couple of weeks ago, I would have said Undertale, because that game fucking bops, and like each song thematically is just so beautiful, and like I love how in the beginning of the game, right, it's all just like standard NES, SNES, simple bars and building up tension and stuff like that. But then when you get into the end game, and spoiler alert for people who are still in 2015, when you get to the final bosses, like the Angel of Death and stuff like that, the game starts introducing like full-on drums and fucking guitars and shit like that to fully sell the fact that you've finally reached the end of your goal and you're seeing the end of everything. I love that, but also the reason why my answers changed, I recently played a game called No Straight Roads. Have either of you heard of it?
No.
No Straight, isn't that the one where it's the guitar girl and the drummer guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. That does have a very rock. It has a very, very good soundtrack.
Dude.
But
holy
I will still stick to the Calamity soundtrack, but that's just my own thing.
Yeah.
The No Straight Road soundtrack is, in the simplest of terms, bopping.
No, I'm gonna fucking sing the soundtracks. I finished the game recently, but the soundtrack is fucking god tier. Like, holy shit, there's like one boss song, right? I think it was DJ Subatomic Supernova, who I was like, that's only okay. And he's only the first boss. After that, it just is uphill from there. There's not a single song on that soundtrack I don't like. And like, they all have some theme for the boss. So like the second boss Sayu, she's like a fish mermaid, but she's also a Vocaloid, so it's set up like that where the sound sounds partially underwater and she makes fish references, but it's also set up like a Vocaloid concert as well.
Yeah.
Then you're taken to another boss called Yinu, they mesh like classical music and EDM, and it works so fucking well. Hearing the piano play, I think it's like Flight of the Valkyries or whatever. They're playing that, and they fucking hit the bass drop, and oh my god, dude, I creamed when that happened. I'm not gonna lie.
It's gross, but all right.
Like, if you, Trusty, I'm gonna tell you this since Ethan's already heard it. After this podcast, if you get the chance, look up No Straight Roads and listen to some of the music on that game, because it is fucking amazing what they did.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
There's another game that I really enjoyed the soundtrack from, but I can't remember the name of the game.
Describe it to me.
The soundtrack or the game?
Either or, whatever.
The game is your sort of you're a pony going through a video game that was hacked.
Oh, Pony Island.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
People love the soundtrack. It is such a good soundtrack.
Yeah, no, that's another good one. I love that game. Actually,
Also, I'm re-downloading the soundtrack for World of Warcraft Shadowlands because I have D in my hand, but I deleted the file.
Oh, damn.
It's 1.5 gigabytes. It is so big.
Oh, well, actually, one more thing I forgot to mention about No Straight Roads. While there's the bass mix of the song that you hear in the game, right? They also have a quote unquote EDM remix, and they also have a rock remix or a rock cover of the song.
Yeah.
Of each boss song in the game, so that's a nice little touch too. I forgot to mention.
Yeah, isn't it because your band's a rock band?
Yeah,
and as
so
the song goes, your version of the song takes over more because
yeah. So as you start to win, or as the boss fight progresses, slowly and surely the song changes from the original remix of the EDM or whatever to a little bit of the rock. I know some boss fights, like Yinu's and Sayu, the music gets more glitched or just more up tempo, where it's purely the piano or glitch like in the Sayu fight. But yeah, that's how it works, and it works really good. Like I think I might even do like a whole mini podcast while you're on your trip, just talking about certain individual games for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, it does appear that we have reached the end of the preliminary episode of The Vast Mistake.
I'm gonna say one thing before we go.
Yeah, before I do the
continue-
outro.
To continue on the last topic, I'm gonna say probably the most hype music I've ever heard when I started a game is Escape from the City.
Oh, from Sonic Adventure 2?
Yes,
Yeah.
just because of how you hear that song start and you're just like, yes.
Yeah. No, I love that. That song and pretty much the entire Colors soundtrack are my favorite Sonic stuff.
maybe next time we'll talk about Sonic games.
Yeah. It's just a whole hour of us talking about Sonic.
Yeah.
God.
That'd be.
We could.
I would. That would have to be an April Fool's episode. I'd love to do something like that.
It's just Sonic. And
Yeah.
And we in my stream.
You're
view,
fucking
it's
playing
just-
Sonic
it's just
Generations.
fan art. No, it's just fan art of Sonic. Every once in a while, it just changes.
Yeah. All right. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening in to the inaugural episode of the Vast Mistake podcast. I'm your host, Richard, otherwise known as Turdum. You can find me on twitter.com at anime profile picture. Find me on Instagram as Richard Turdum. Trusty, I'll let you. Do you want to plug anything?
I mean, I don't really got anything to plug. I've got a very inactive YouTube channel and a Discord server that is actually just a Minecraft server.
Well,
No.
don't you have a Twitch you want to you could plug?
Oh, I've got that too, but I don't stream very often. But like, hey,
Stream a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
go follow Unhinged Trusty on Twitch. That has a J instead of a G.
I
Fuck
noticed
that.
that when I
Yeah.
found that, and I hate you for it.
Because my dad's username is Unhinged Trusty with a G. Said I couldn't have his, so I changed it.
All right.
Quite odd.
All right, Ethan, you
Yeah.
plug what you want.
Anyway, thank you all for watching. I am Foxbox_Fisher on YouTube, Twitch, and whatever else I have, because I tend to change all my names on everything when I
Yeah.
do that.
It's like you're like
So I don't think I'll be doing it anymore, but it happened. It happened a lot in the past. But we'll be seeing you next time if you join us. And hopefully we'll be talking about something other than Sonic.
Yeah. You know, I was gonna say before we fully end this, you used to change your name like a girl changes clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, folks, and we'll hopefully see you next time. See you later.